Hi everyone, Bert from Season Gaming, and welcome to this week's Bitcast. We're at Bitcast 45, believe it or not, and we have a lot of news for you. We're going to be doing some first impressions, which is a little bit different than our usual Bitcast, but a lot of stuff has come out this week, so we wanted to share our thoughts. We're also going to be doing the same Name That Game. I'm hosting it this week. I'm going to be trying to stump Ains and Dan. So let's kick off our news really quick. As I mentioned, not a ton of news, but a lot of news that's part of what's happened this week and a lot of politics being played. Before we get to the politics, we're going to be talking about a game that released out of nowhere, huge surprise, this past Monday. And let's talk about Apex Legends. So all of us have given it a try. I think Ains and I like it a tad bit more than Dan. But Ains, what are your first impressions here? Do you love it? Do you hate it? What do you think?
Yeah, I love it. It's kind of funny. We were, thinking back to last week's Bitcast as we were kind of trying to talk about this Titanfall rumor, and the news was breaking as we were recording. So sure enough, the following day this game came out, and we played it. What did we play it early, after release, and we were like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then as the week went on, we played it more and more, and I absolutely love it. It is highly polished, incredibly fun to play. It's deep, has great mechanics, adds a bunch of new wrinkles to the Battle Royale formula. I don't know. It's Respawn, man. They know how to make a shooter. They just do. But I think what surprises me most, honestly, is they kept such a fantastic game that they've obviously been working on for quite a while, completely under wraps, and nobody knew about this, until just prior to releasing. So, but yeah, I love it, and it's free to play, and it's probably in the best launch state of any shooter I've seen in a very long time. I mean, we have had next to zero issues playing the game.
Yep. How about you, Dan? As I mentioned, I know you're not the biggest Battle Royale player, but have you had a chance to play it yet?
No. That's a hard no. I just don't play Battle Royale games. It looks really cool. It everybody seems to love it. I think, free is awesome. That's great. I'm just I'm not good, so I just tend to stay away from those games that I know I won't enjoy over a long period of time. But with that being said, it's everybody seems to like it. 10 million players. I mean, that's insane. They had 1 million in 8 hours, which is crazy. And it's come out of nowhere. I never would have ever expected this, and I can see this kind of being a new model, maybe not necessarily the sneak attack that they pulled, but maybe just the free to play model is here to stay, I think. And it really shows. You see a lot of people there saying now that well, now that I have this, I don't need to have Anthem or The Division, because I've got this game that has just sucked me in out of nowhere, and I'm good, and I for me, the whole thing, I just kind of wonder why EA would do something like this at this time when Anthem's releasing here in 2 weeks. It's not like they've had a great track record of this. I mean, Titanfall 2, sandwiched between COD and Battlefield 1, and it's, the sales represented it. It showed that it just didn't sell very well, and I'm afraid that they kind of just threw BioWare under the bus a little bit. It's hard to tell. I know they're different games, but so was Titanfall and Battlefield 1, and, it's just going to have a kind of wait-and-see attitude, but they're competing against themselves at this point, which is awesome if you're an EA stockholder. I'm not. So I just hope that it doesn't really kill that, those upcoming games, and I don't know, because these kind of games, I mean, while very, very popular, are not for everybody. So
Yeah, I mean, one thing I will mention is it does make me kind of second guess the number of games that I'm going to be buying this spring, or I guess early 2019, because as you mentioned, we got Anthem coming, we've got Apex Legends, where we currently are released that, we've got Division 2 coming. I already said that I'm going to be taking a little bit of a snooze on Metro Exodus for a while, just because there's so many other things to play. But it does make me question, and I'll be going back to you guys and my other friends as to what are y'all going to play more of, Anthem or Division 2. So I don't know. I think it's interesting. Battle Royale games kind of sit on their own, but at the same time, they're taking some steam away from everybody else here. So,
Yeah,
Haynes, any thoughts on that? Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that Dan, I think is right, because I even me, who buys everything as we know, and have been talking about Anthem and Division and Sekiro and Mortal and all those games. Now I'm like,
Jeez.
man, I can
Yeah.
see playing Apex Legends like crazy. So I can tell you one thing for sure. All the other Battle Royale games, including PUBG, which we play a ton of, have taken a back seat now. I would think this is more akin to Blackout, but I would say that this game has just killed Blackout. And I know that sounds hyperbolic, but I mean, we play a lot of these games. I talk to a lot of people who play these games, and this game has taken over in a very, very short period of time. And it's a much more, I would say, even polished, but much more unique experience than Blackout. And I think it's just a much better version of Battle Royale. And then lastly, I was just going to say, for proof that this is a great game, you can just look at us on the camera, because I look like living hell right now, and that's because we were up to near 3 a.m. playing Apex Legends. So
yeah, you know what? It's also taking away from, here's an example. My kids, all they play is Fortnite, right? So I said, hey, here's a new game out here, free, download it, see what you think. They haven't played anything since. So Fortnite's gone. I mean,
and it's funny you say that, Dan, because I was at my son's hockey game last night. They're 13, so same age range. And as they're standing there waiting to get on the ice, I hear one of the kids go, where are you guys at in Apex? I'm already ranked 30 and have over 200 kills. And I'm thinking, so rank 30, Dan, to put in perspective, we've been playing the hell out of this game. I think I'm a 20 or 21. So as I told these guys last night, as soon as you hear that among that age group, that Apex is the game to play, it's going to spread like wildfire.
Yeah. Yep, we are going to talk a little bit more about Apex, maybe not as long as I maybe anticipated, because we wanted to share some other games that we're doing first impressions of, but we were going to talk a little bit about Apex Legends first impressions, and I'll talk a little bit more about Fortnite and PUBG comparisons to that. At the moment, let's move to our next story, and EA has hit the news waves this week in kind of a negative fashion, I guess you could almost say. But we'll start with the first news, and it's really about their relationship with Disney. So as we all know, EA has canceled a number of Star Wars games, ones that were very far in development. And the story this week is they were interviewed, and it's their CEO was interviewed saying, what are your thoughts on your relationship with EA and Disney, the whole Star Wars relationship? His response was, we're really happy with our relationship with EA, and we don't make games. We were never really good at making games, and we kind of have full trust in EA. So with that being said, a lot of the gamers in this world are pretty much saying, what in the world are you talking about? And do you realize what's happened to your intellectual properties and everything that's happened with that? So kind of a head-scratching response. Does it really mean that Disney doesn't really even pay attention to what they do with games? I mean, what are your thoughts here, guys?
Yeah, it's here's the thing. I don't. Obviously, there have been things that have shown that EA is just screwing this up completely. But they also, Disney just, they bought what? They got a Star Wars, they got Marvel, they got, they just bought the other one, 20th Century Fox. Or they're just the guy knows what he's doing. So do you take his word for it, or do you say, hey, you're really not seeing this from a gamer's perspective? So, I mean, I have no idea. I have no idea what's going to happen with this. I think they're crazy. Yeah. And it makes me sad as a Star Wars fan that, I can't get some really good Star Wars games. Now there's that, The Fallen Jedi or whatever is coming out. I think, I don't know anything about it. I don't think a lot of people do. So, we'll see what happens with that one if it doesn't get canceled in the next couple of months. But, the guy makes money, so he must have some kind of idea of what he's doing.
I think there's just too many degrees of separation here. The CEO of Disney is worth billions and billion or whatever the hell he's worth. But I think that he's probably not a gamer. He probably has no inkling as to what's going on in the gaming industry, and trust maybe what some other people may have told him or he's overheard. But we can't look at it from our perspective that we're so ingrained in what goes on day to day on the video game industry, and think that the CEO of Disney, who is, I forget how old he is now, I want to say he's in his late 50s, 60s, something like that. He just seems to have no clue, and doesn't realize that this license has produced 2 games in 7 years, which is for a publisher and developer like EA is ridiculous. So
Yeah, he's for your own record, Ains, he's 68.
Yeah.
Just check.
So I mean, come on. Think of the people you know in your life that are near 70 years old and what they think of video games. They have no clue. So this isn't really surprising. It's just disappointing.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is back when LucasArts, I think they were even called LucasArts Studios or something. Not sure what they were, when the higher quality and I guess a lot more properties of the Disney franchise was being used for Super Nintendo games, Nintendo 64, PlayStation games. Seems like they had a lot more of a relationship with the development teams that work with those. So,
yep.
Is Disney too big of a company to have the care for video gamers compared to the movie watchers and stuff? So, who knows? But yeah, kind of an interesting news take on it. That has been kind of circling around gamers, just wondering, are you even aware of what's happening to your licenses at this current time? And it seems like they may not be. And to everybody's point here, the CEO of Disney is probably not going to listen to it as much as other people that are into the industry itself. The other article here from EA, which, like I said, depending on how you want to take this, some earnings came out regarding Battlefield 5, and as we're aware of certain publishers, developers kind of talking about meeting and not meeting expectations, Battlefield 5 has not met the studio's expectations. They have currently sold about 7.3 million units, which, to your average person and to smaller dev teams, that's a ton. This is across all platforms, by the way, not just one platform. It is 1 million lower than they were expecting from this game. Sure, that's kind of news right there, maybe not, but where they really got some news is from the gaming industry, once again, from fans, is that they seem to have blamed it on the focus on the single-player content that they have included in their game. The delay of the game, if you remember, or maybe don't remember, Battlefield 5 was delayed about a month this year, and also the kind of tiered release and lack of Battle Royale release. So what are your thoughts here, guys?
Yeah, this isn't too surprising due to some of the feedback we saw in Battlefield 5. And, I think there's a really good core there, but they seem to be, and we've talked about it before, they seem to be not fully ready for launch. And so that led to a game that didn't have everything they intended it to have at launch. And I think we saw the result of that. And it's too competitive of a market now for the game not to be 100% ready and something fresh for Battlefield players to play. The single player, even though it had single player, it was widely disregarded, and I don't think it's disregarded because it's single player. It was disregarded because it wasn't very good.
That's bad.
Yeah, and so, you can say, oh, we blame it on single player. You know what? If it had an amazing, World War II focused campaign, it probably would have got a lot of press and praise, but it didn't. Battle Royale, there's potential there. I mean, that's all speculation, right? If it had Battle Royale, would it have caught on a little bit more like Blackout and Call of Duty? Who knows? If it was good, maybe. If it was bad, probably not. So, I don't know. This isn't surprising. That's all I'll say. We've said before that Battlefield 5, I like it. I enjoy it. But they definitely need a rethink. They've got to prepare better for their next release, add some new wrinkles to it. If they're going to do Battle Royale, make it fresh and unique like we were just talking about Respawn did. And, make sure they are ready on day one to not have those infamous DICE issues.
Yeah, the excuse me, the blaming it on the single player. I don't even know how you can do that when they haven't even released all of it. They're releasing it in just different tiers. That's the dumbest crap I've ever heard. I mean, it's just, and then you're gonna, the delay in the Battle Royale mode. Well, then why would you release Apex Legends a month before the Battle Royale is supposed to come out?
Right.
These guys, I mean, I don't understand what they're doing at all. But you know what? I enjoyed playing Battlefield 5, and we had some good games. It's one of those ones that, you're right, Ames, it's just not, they just need a refresh, where it's something a little bit different. And it's crazy to say that only after really a year, or a couple years, when Battlefield 1 is, basically Battlefield 5 is just like a reskin version. It seems like, almost. I mean, they did some tweaks, they did some other stuff, but it's not that much different, and I think that was really their problem. It's not, especially when you're giving the game away for free almost, or they did, I think, or it was really, really cheap. They gave, right before the the release of Battlefield 5, I thought they gave it away for free. It's what are you doing? I mean, I don't understand. You can't sit there, and these shareholders got to be sitting there just like, what the fuck are these guys at EA doing? I mean, it's just, it blows my mind, and I'm not a businessman by any means, but I can, I can tell when there's a bad idea, from like a mile away, and this is what it seems like, So it is what it is.
Well, the funny thing is, sorry, I was just going to say the funny thing is that when they announced this, EA stock, I mean, it took a hit, and the only thing that has saved it this week was Apex Legends, because Apex Legends has become a surprise hit. It rebounded really quickly, so it's kind of bizarre.
Crazy.
It'll be funny if Apex Legends pulls kind of what Fortnite did for Epic. So
I think it has that potential, man. I think it's just going to continue to get bigger.
Yep. Okay, interesting stuff from Battlefield. We'll see what happens with that game. A lot of work needs to be done. My biggest thing is they need to hire a different PR team. It seems like this PR team constantly just makes mistakes and all kinds of weird things with their communication to the fans. But, oh, wow. Anyways, moving along.
And I'm sorry to the devs, but please hire some new UI designers. Please. For all of us.
You could say that for a number of years.
It is so bad. And it's bad every Battlefield release. Like, I don't know how that's possible. Anyway, moving on.
All right, another crazy one. We're not going to spend too much time on this one. First of all, it's a big PC thing. We don't really report too much on PC, but it is something to be mentioned on. And there is currently some momentum happening in the PC gamers realm to boycott Metro Exodus on PC because of the launcher that the publishers decided to go with for this game. If you haven't really heard about this, what's really happened is the Metro Exodus game on PC is coming out on the Epic Game Store exclusively for minimum 1 year. When this was initially announced, it was going to be available for Steam, and a lot of people pre-ordered on Steam. Well, here we are, getting closer to the game, only a few weeks away, and it's only coming to the Epic Game Store. A lot of people upset. Boycott on the way. You guys boycotting as well?
No. I'm still going to buy it for the Xbox. Here's the thing. You can't be sitting there and saying, oh, this is great. We've got a new game launcher, Epic Stores, and, it'll bring competition to that, arena. And then literally a week later be like, oh my God, this is bullshit. You can't, that's what we're seeing. My favorite part is like when that dev got on some kind of Russian deal and said, hey, if you guys don't buy it for PC, we're just not going to make it for PC next time.
Yeah,
so
I heard that too.
Right? And like, now, obviously, I think Deep Silver, Koch Media, or whatever they're called, they came out and said, well, these are his views and not everybody else's. But I mean, that's fine. That's what I would say too. You know what? Suck it. I mean, just play. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that much. You know what? Just buy the game. If you want to play it, buy it. Buy it on whatever launcher you have to. It's not like you gotta go buy a whole new damn console to play the game.
Yeah, that's the weird thing.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing for us console gamers. It's not like the machine they are playing on has to be replaced, purchased, or anything else. It's just the launcher that's different. But
and they they said they were honoring all of the Steam pre-orders anyway. So if you did pre-order on Steam, you're still getting it.
Yep.
Which is just bizarre. And as the dev team said, this is responsibility goes to Deep Silver and Koch Media, which is obviously the publishing company. They obviously made this deal with the Epic Game Store, and you probably can't blame them because there's money involved as always, right? But no, I mean I'm just tired of this nonsense. Just as Dan said, if you want to play the game, buy the game and play it. Just, I don't know.
It's weird.
It's exhausting.
It's definitely weird coming from a console gamer.
Yeah,
we literally are buckled down by the Nintendo, PlayStation, or Xbox that we may have. But this is weird.
Yeah, and then and then what do? Right? They act like children, and they go and review bomb the prior Metro games on Steam to kill the reviews, and it's like, good God, man. I think I said it before, Dan. I don't know if it was on Third Wheel Arcade, but I said, if honestly your life involves yelling about this online and then going to Steam and putting bad reviews on a game because you don't like where it's going, you need to reevaluate your life.
Oh yeah.
There's I mean, you could look to your left and find something to do more important than what you're doing.
All right, like I said, let's don't spend way too much time on this one. It's just kind of a weird oddity for us. At the same time, to each their own, I guess. But it's just weird to kind of mess with an entire company's stuff because you don't like a decision they made on something that you're going to be able to play anyways. But
which the devs didn't even decide.
That's correct.
Stop fucking crying.
All right. Yep. Moving along to some kind of different news, speaking of where you can get services. Xbox Live was at a conference recently, and I shouldn't say Xbox Live, but there was a comment made at Xbox Live that comment from Xbox Live team that they are going to be trying to get the service out on a number of platforms. So today, you can get your Xbox Live from your Xbox. You can get Xbox Live on your PC to a certain extent, depending on what kind of things you want to play with it. But they're now mentioning that they want to push the service to other services, other platforms. Immediately, this kind of became a big question for the Switch. So we're going to be able to be playing Xbox Live accounts on our Switch? Are we going to be able to find achievements? Are we going to be able to do some cross-play or at least maybe cross-party stuff? Kind of interesting here. You can kind of get some interesting Xbox Live servicing on your phones already. Me and Ains were chatting this week. He kept sending me these party invites, and I'm like, I'm not even online right now. What are you seeing? And I was logged in on my phone, and I could literally have a party chat conversation with him from my phone, and he was on his Xbox. So kind of cool to see some of this functionality coming out.
Yeah, the answers to everything you just said are yes, yes, and yes. And what I found funny about this blowing up is that they've already said this. This was not new news. They've been talking about this for a while. If you're paying attention to what the Xbox team has been talking about, they've already said this. I think why it got blown up is because people mentioned the Switch, and so everyone's like, wait, Xbox games on the Switch? And, well, yes, they've already said that. That Xbox Live and the first-party content will be coming to as many devices as they can share them on. We've talked about it before, right? Xbox is long past the day of you have to buy our box and play our games on our box. It's ancient thinking. And this just, from an Xbox perspective, for the direction they're going, it's all about just devices and services, as we're talking about here. The more people you get playing, the more people you get on Xbox Live, the more profitable they're going to be. And we saw that with their recent results. Their services were up 30-some% year over year, and they're just going to continue to grow. So it sounds bizarre, but I only think it sounds bizarre because we're 40 plus years entrenched in the thinking that you have to buy a box and play those games on that box. And that's just no longer the case. So, one thing I think people might have forgotten here too is you can unlock achievements on your Switch today on Xbox Live. Go play Minecraft on the Switch. You'll unlock Xbox Live achievements. It's already there. Like I said, this is not new. It's just, I think the word is finally getting out and people are finally starting to truly think about what this means for the future. And I think it's surprising people, which it should, but it's also very, very cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, you can play it right now. Minecraft's got it already. And they're basically going to, they're trying to open it up to those third-party developers so that, they can enable cross-play and, and different kinds of, interactions with other players. So I think, it's great. Why not have this? It sounds awesome to me. So I don't know if it'll ever get to that point where you can actually play your games on a Switch. I would love that. But, I'm sure there's issues with, certain licensing and stuff like that, and maybe first party stuff, but I could never see buying your game, say like Wolfenstein, and being able just to log into Live on your Switch and then, I got Wolfenstein, that probably won't happen. But, if they push it and they do it right and and Nintendo plays ball, awesome. I'm ready for it.
So that is the direction, right? So think about it this way. If you log into Xbox Live, like you would, Dan, so going back to all digital, right? If you log into Xbox Live and buy Wolfenstein on Xbox Live, they don't care what device you play it on. If you log into your Switch on Xbox Live and play Wolfenstein, you already paid for it on Xbox Live. Do you see what I mean?
They've already would, right?
No, well, Nintendo would probably get a percentage of that cut, right? So that's how they'll do it. It'll be a percentage, if they say we're playing on Switch, it may be a playtime agreement. There's a couple companies like that right now, like Jump we talked about. They do playtime agreements. Game Pass is similar. But if you've bought the game on Xbox Live, they don't care if you're on your phone, you're on your PC, whatever. Go ahead and play it. You've already paid for it.
But, I listened to a podcast, I think, earlier this week, maybe Friday. There was Xbox 2, and I think Jez Corden was talking about something like that. And he took, City Skylines, for example, and you can buy it on, it's not, Xbox Play Anywhere. It actually, on the Windows Store, it has a different price point to compete with Steam, which is, so it would be perfect for something like this, but it doesn't work, as like he said. because they want to compete with that other market. That's why I don't ever see like a third party where I can go and play, like Wolfenstein on my Switch that I bought from Xbox, from Microsoft. I don't see that happening, but I definitely see the first party stuff. And maybe it gets to a point where you can, and if they get a significant amount, I mean, that would be every game though. How do you? I just don't understand the logistics. If that were to happen, if I could go and buy, any kind of third party game that's already on the Switch, where they're going to make a lot more money if you buy it on their system, they would have to basically take every game that's cross-compatible like that and, give them a percentage immediately, even if nobody ever plays it on the Switch, which would be awesome for Nintendo, but, I'm not sure that route will ever happen. I'd like to see it happen, don't get me wrong, because that would be awesome, and just basically you're just using your Switch as like a screen is basically what it would come down to. I'm all for it, trust me. I just don't know if that would happen or not.
Yeah, so think about it this way, right? From Nintendo's perspective, the conversation would be, okay, so if someone like me, okay, I'm going to buy it on Xbox. Do I want to, if I'm Nintendo, am I going to get zero profit because I'm not going to buy it on the Switch? Or do I want to take a small cut of that profit because I'll play it on my Switch?
Well, I agree with that. Or just say, I'd rather have more profit and just make people buy it on the Switch. It kind of, I guess you'd have to see what, the differences would be. Like you'd almost have to test that out. Like, okay, we're going to do like a test run with this game and say, this is how much we made from it on our store. And, this is how much we got from Microsoft for, allowing them to use it on our device. So it'd be interesting for sure. I just don't know how it would work. I'm no expert for sure.
Cool. Yeah, good discussion there. I mean, a lot of it's very early in planning. Yeah. There's nothing that we can kind of see what the final vision is going to be. Mm-hmm. I think the industry in general is going to be moving in this direction as far as play anywhere type stuff versus keeping everything on one box. It just doesn't make sense in the long run. But we'll see. Like I said, very early on, we won't see things for about another year or two, maybe even in the next generation. But some good framework has been laid down there for that. So, okay, moving on. This is definitely a quick one for us. We've been talking about Red Dead Redemption 2 for quite a while now. There was an interview this week with Game Industry Biz. They have mentioned that the units sold count for Red Dead Redemption 2 is now up to 23 million units sold. Insane if you even consider that it's only on 2 consoles right now. Definitely not on the Switch, and rumors of it coming to PC, but nothing has ever been confirmed by Rockstar in any form whatsoever. The other thing that's a big story here is a lot of people have crapped on Red Dead Redemption Online. It was originally in beta. I'm not sure if it's officially launched yet. Ains, you can confirm in a second, but the story here is that Rockstar has come out and said at this point in the release, it's doing better than GTA Online is, or was, I should say. GTA Online now is a crazy success. The game has now been going on for a number of years and still is on the charts for top 10 games sold. So we'll see what this means. Now, one thing to keep in mind is GTA Online was delayed. So there's a little bit of weird news in there that they kind of shuffled in there to make it seem bigger than it was. But very big news here from a unit sold perspective, and cool to see Online is pretty healthy at the moment.
Every single video I've watched on Red Dead Online has basically been a bunch of people laughing their asses off and just shooting people and hog tying them and dragging them behind their horse. I don't know what the appeal is. It's hilarious, but that's it. And it's just such a chaotic, just nutty, it's not like, okay, let's go posse up and go do something. It's just, we're going to have a hanging, like, what is happening? So, yeah, whatever. I mean, good job, Red Dead Online, I guess.
Yeah, this is, it's still in beta, Bert. They're still tuning it. And to Dan's point, it started out kind of messy. I did play it a little bit. They are refining it, and further to Dan's point is they recognize that behavior, so they're doing things to where people can get on with their friends and enjoy it in a more open world sense. Like when it launched, for instance, you could see where any other real player was on the entire map. And they've changed that now to only be, if you're in nearby vicinity. And they're putting in private parties so you can do like online private play. things like that. So there's a lot of improvements coming. When it fully releases, I'm sure it'll be pretty good, but it's still kind of messy right now. And 23 million units is great. It needs to be more. Keep buying.
Good deal. All right, another funny interview this week was with Norman Reedus, and as we can all kind of mentioned a lot about Death Stranding. He was kind of asked, what do you think about the game, the development cycle, how's your team work together from a voice acting perspective and stuff. And the big news that kind of came from this, which is kind of funny, he gave a lot of positive feedback, by the way, to the development team. Kojima worshipped as usual, as we can all imagine. But the funny line that was mentioned is that the game is extremely, very, very complicated. Crazy complicated, even, he said. So, I'm not sure any Kojima game that we've ever played that is very easy and not complicated, but kind of funny news here. Still no release date coming, but I know you guys have a couple quick thoughts.
Yeah, who's this game made by again? Forget. I'm sure it'll say it 50 times when I play it, but I got nothing to say. We know it's going to be complicated. It's going to be ridiculous and bizarre, and people are going to say it's absolutely brilliant. Whether or not it'll actually be brilliant, we'll see. It may be. Maybe not. I don't know. Not much else to say on this. I'll check it out when it comes out. I am not, one of those people that's going to give it praise before we play it. Because frankly, what we've seen on it hasn't been very good. I got to be honest. I'm not impressed at all from what we saw of the gameplay. So we'll see. I'm just waiting.
I fully expect this game to have really solid gameplay. Most of the games he's done has. However, if Norman Reedus is saying it's complicated and crazy complicated, that's saying something, because that guy is a little bit, nutty. All right, so here's the thing. Yeah, I mean, I have no freaking clue, man. Who the hell knows? If Norman Reedus can't understand it, then we've got problems. All right, before it even launches. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to buy it. I'm going to play it. We'll see what happens.
Good stuff. So once again, no release date was mentioned. There has been rumors that we are looking at a 2019 release. No one knows if that's the summer, late fall. It might even have a December 31st, 2019 release window, which is what they usually do. They shuffle it to the end. But we'll see. We'll definitely update you guys if there's any more news on a release date, which is what people are really waiting for. Last piece of news this week is Assassin's Creed 3, probably the most, stepson of the Assassin's Creed library. A lot of people don't like this one as much as others do. But we are getting a release date for this one. It was mentioned that it was going to be in one of the Season Pass of the game, if you did buy that one, of March 29th. The big news from this one is they did release a trailer kind of comparing what the remastered versus the original one looks like. They also mentioned new mechanics, new gameplay in general, which will update the game. If you kind of think about Assassin's Creed 3 released a while ago, not really best suited from where we are today in this generation. And the big news from it as well is Liberation will be included with it. So this one did initially come out on the Vita. They did have a PlayStation 4 version for it. And that kind of released kind of in conjunction with each other. They had some cross-play, or cross-buy, I believe. If you bought it on the Vita, you could play it on the PS4. But kind of cool news. I didn't hate Assassin's Creed 3 as much as a lot of other people did, but I will say it's not the best one in the series.
Yeah, they remaster the first 10 hours of the boring-ass game because, like just make it fun. That would be awesome. Because it was the worst...
Yeah.
Worst one of the series for me. Liberation I never played, which is awesome. I didn't know that was coming out with it. That's great. I'll go back and play it again, maybe. If I can somehow fast forward through the first 10 hours of nothingness. Other than that, yeah, great. Super duper. Glad I bought the season pass.
I'm going to go ahead and say long live the Vita.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I've got nothing to say on Assassin's Creed 3. I've never played it, never cared to. Won't be checking it out, so there you go.
Yep, very different. Okay, guys. Well, that's our news for this week. Kind of a lot of news, a lot more than I thought we would be chatting about it. But we're going to be moving on to our first impressions. Now, these are going to be very quick and early. These are not official reviews from us. So a lot of stuff has come out in the past couple of weeks from a demo perspective, kind of a test perspective. And then we have I already kind of talked about Apex Legends a little bit already, but we do want to give a little bit more detail as to what we think more about the game and what we've kind of experienced for the positive and negative. So we'll start out with the Anthem demo. I don't really have a ton to say about it because I've probably played it the least from our group here. But Ains, Dan, what are your overall impressions here? Like I said, kind of quick and early since we don't really have the full game, and this was a demo. There was an open and a private one. So what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, not too much to add from what we talked about prior. I am getting a little more excited because the BioWare team has been really, really good about communicating over social media and showing what what the end game looks like. We've seen now some what they call masterwork weapons and gear, which are kind of like your exotics, your legendaries, etc. So those look pretty cool and a lot more skill stats and things. And they've talked about, how the Titans will come down and there'll be world-changing events. So just a lot more stuff about what we can expect at launch, which is now next week, believe it or not. So, or this week when you're listening to this, I guess, on Friday. So yeah, just I'm excited for it. I'm not, it's not the game I'm most excited for this first quarter, but I'm definitely looking forward to it and can't wait to play the full version.
Yeah, just to confirm there, folks, too, that's if you are an early access buyer. The full global release is until the 22nd. But as we know, the Anthem release schedule has been bonkers as far as when you're doing it. So depending on what you're playing on, to confirm here, your EA access, depending on what kind of Origin access you might have, you might be getting it early. But, Dan, you?
Yeah, it was, I'm really looking forward to it. It should be awesome. I'm really kind of putting a lot of faith into BioWare here. Based on everything I've heard, the alpha was really awesome, and then the beta came out, and it was just kind of very lackluster. Now, from what I played, the gameplay is solid. The flying mechanics are amazing. Graphics look great. It was really, really fun. There wasn't a whole lot of content, I think, to judge it by, unlike maybe the next one we're going to talk about. So it's I am very, very optimistic for Anthem, and I really, really want to play it, and it's been on my radar for a long time. So I'm not big into these loot 'em shooter ARPG kind of things. I mean, aside from Diablo, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm very, very optimistic. I'm going to be playing it on Friday. So.
Fun, yeah. And so, just to confirm again, folks, so if you have EA Access Premier, which is the PC upper tier of Origin Access, you get the full game on the 15th. If you have EA Access Basic on Xbox One or Origin Access Basic on PC, you get the first 10 hours, or I should say a 10-hour trial. You can play whatever you want out of the game for those 10 hours. The full release and everything that a lot of other people will be playing is February 22nd. So this coming Friday and the Friday after that is when we're seeing Anthem. So we've kind of talked about how crazy the release schedule is for the next month or so, and it's just getting crazier and crazier. Which brings me up to another one, which is not in February, but Division 2. We had kind of a private beta test this past week. And is it still live, guys? I'm not 100% sure if you can still play it. Is it still going?
Yeah, it goes till tomorrow morning, I think, early tomorrow morning, the 11th. Played this, and the first thing I said was, wow, this is insane, and so much different than Anthem as far as content goes, because there's a ton of it there. So, on third wheel, Van asked, playing both betas, which one would I be more willing to buy based on those alone? And I had to say Division 2 because it was just the amount of stuff you can do. I played a little bit with Ains, and he kind of showed me a few things that I didn't realize, and that helped out a little bit. Based on content alone, I'd go with Division 2. It's been fun. We played last night, and I don't want to use the word fun again because it was because we were playing together, but I realized I think that it's a little bit more serious. It's a little bit more, you really got to concentrate a little bit more than you do with Anthem. Anthem's a lot more, like I think you said, Gaines, run and gun, kind of blow shit up. Division is a lot more tactical. It's a lot more, slower paced.
Yep.
And that's okay. Everybody's got their own thing, and I love both of them. So, but I think Anthem's probably going to take a little bit more of my time, but Division 2 is excellent. I can't even say a bad thing about it. It's been great.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think Anthem is definitely more action orientated. Think of Anthem as your Michael Bay movie, whereas Division 2 is more of your Michael Mann movie. Let's go that route.
Wow.
That was a very quick off the cuff reference. I don't know where that came from. But Division 2 is brilliant. I played hundreds of hours of Division 1. Division 2, I've already max leveled in the beta. I unlocked the Dark Zone, played some of that. I did the end game specialization test. So I've kind of done everything from the beta. A lot of content there, as Dan said. And it is just excellent. It's gorgeous. It runs. There's no problems with the way it runs at all. Not a single hiccup. The mission and loot design is far improved over Division 1. There's a lot more to do and unlock and find. And then the way you build, your character and gear sets, which I could go on for hours about, so I won't, but it's incredible. So after playing the beta, it was already my most anticipated game of the spring, and after playing the beta, that's even just gone up more. So I will be hopefully writing some impressions and giving some data on it here in the near future.
Cool. Moving on to our next one, guys. Crackdown 3. Either one of you guys get on the demo this week?
Yes, only very, very briefly. So I want to play it. It's open again today for a couple slots. It's like it's gated slots, like 2-hour time frames intermittently that you can play it. So I got into one on Friday, played a single match. So like I said, very quick. But it's interesting. It's very, very neat and kind of fast paced, and the destruction in that wrecking zone test is pretty damn cool. You can just shoot a rocket up at a building and you just see it get obliterated and everything falls, and it's I don't know, it's really, really neat. It's going to be one of those kind of niche multiplayer titles, I think. I think the campaign will probably appeal to more people, especially Game Pass subscribers, but I could see a core group really enjoying this multiplayer, and I think over time it'll be fun. Funny enough, Bert, I don't know if you've played it, but the main mode in it, Agent Hunter, is like kill confirmed. So basically you run around 5-on-5 and you're killing the other agents and blowing shit up, and they drop a little badge and you have 10 seconds to get the badge, and it's whoever gets to a certain number of badges first. So, but a lot of fun. And I think this game's going to surprise people if you keep your expectations realistic. The Last of Us 2, this is not, and it's not meant to be. It's supposed to be a fun kind of story-based game that has some, just fun to jump in and blow stuff up, and I think it's going to do that really well.
Cool. Yeah, I'm actually not an insider anymore. I uninstalled it because it was just bogging down my system, so I didn't have access to it, unfortunately, from an Xbox perspective. But I am looking forward to giving it a try. I did see a lot of video. I did watch one stream really quick of someone playing it, and it looks interesting. I don't think this is going to win Game of the Year, as we talked about. I hate to say that they aren't gaming or aiming for Game of the Year, but it's kind of a weird release, and especially with how crowded the release schedule is at this time of the year, I'd be interested to see how well it does. But I don't know. As you said, keep your expectations in check. It's kind of had a rough development cycle, and we'll see how it kind of releases, but that's early. And then to Apex Legends, we did talk quite a bit about this game at the start of our Bitcast earlier on. The only thing I'll say is that I'm having a blast with it. I think everybody should at least give it a try to see if they like it. I think it is going to take a bit of the Fortnite audience into it, and people are going to be taking a break from Fortnite. I think Fortnite has something to worry about from a loot perspective and outfits and all the different things you can do with it. And then I think PUBG kind of sits in another arena, just with a more realistic, different third person. You can play first person with it, but a lot of people play third person. And then I think it's going to outdo Blackout in the long run. I think Call of Duty has a lot to worry about right now. I think a lot of people are going to stick with Apex. On top of it being free, there have been talks of Blackout potentially being 100% free, but that hasn't happened yet. I think this might push them to go free. But give it a try. There's tons of great characters. The gameplay is fantastic, as Zane's mentioned, and I love the gunplay. It's just done really, really well.
Yeah, I think you make a good point there about Blackout, and I think it's kind of funny, right? If you look at the history, here we go. It's Respawn and Vince Zampella coming out and outdoing Call of Duty again, in my opinion, in that they've really, this is a much, much better Battle Royale game than Blackout is. It's just, yeah, it's excellent. Everything about it is really, really good. I can't get enough of it, so I'm just looking forward to playing more.
Cool. Well, Dan, I'm definitely not leaving you out. Did you get a chance to play any Crackdown, or did you not get to it?
No, I didn't get a chance to play. I did watch a few streams. Man.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah. I like Crackdown. I'm just not a massive fan. I could, not even play this game and be okay with my life. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think I'll give it a try. It's on Game Pass, so you can't pass up a free game to give it a try, but it's part of that subscription, so give it a try. Okay, we're going to kind of talk about what we played this week really quick. We've talked a lot about it already with our first impressions, but Dan, let's start with you. What have you got a chance to play this week other than the stuff you've mentioned already?
Yeah, basically Mass Effect 3. I don't know why. I started it over.
Wow. Yeah.
I was like, you know what? This is stupid Anthem getting in my veins. And I decided to jump back into another BioWare game. And it's still awesome. It's still really, really good. My only problem is I didn't have any games to import, any characters to import. Because they were all, I don't know. I don't know if it's like a cloud issue or something else, but it's been a while since I played it. And you can really tell how it affects the story, because I never have played it without, they've got that Genesis comic book you can play before it, but, that only gives you like your big main story choices, and then there's just all these little things that I'm like, oh, this never happened to me before. What the hell's going on? Why did this happen? So I now realize how much I missed, which is crazy because I played it like 5 times all the way through, if not more. So it's still awesome. Then basically the beta division, and that's it. Haven't played a whole lot this week.
Cool. Ains, how about you?
Yeah, funny enough, I think since we last spoke, nearly all of my time has been spent playing Apex Legends and the Division 2 beta. So kind of already gave my impressions there. That's where I've spent the week. I was playing Resident Evil 2 still, but I think since we last spoke, I think I played that once for about 20 minutes. So really no progress there. I do want to finish it, but Apex Legends has sucked the air out of the room. We didn't expect this. And I thought I had a few weeks to play Resident Evil 2 prior to Anthem and the big releases starting in the spring, and here Apex Legends has taken over, so not too much else to speak about on that one.
Great. Well, yeah, I'm with you guys on the multiplayer stuff. The only other thing I've played is Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm still pushing through it. I'm around the 19-hour mark. I thought I would be able to give a review this week, but it's just not going to happen. It wouldn't be fair to the game yet, so I'm thinking next week is when I'll have that ready for us on the site. So, but yeah, there's so much stuff coming out. We're crazy as always. That's what we're playing. Those are our first impressions. Let us know what you guys think about these so far. Maybe you played something. Give us some feedback in the comments if you're listening, to see if you share or completely disagree with us, but we'd like to hear it. And we're moving on to our last segment of the Bitcast today, and it is Name That Game, and kind of oddly enough, I'm hosting it as well as the Bitcast. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and start with my questions. Hopefully this one isn't too easy for either one of you guys. Who wants to go first?
I think I went first last week, so let's Dan go. Yeah.
Okay, Dan. Okay. So I'm going to get started right away here. Hopefully these are tough at the start and get easier as you go on. But the quick news here on this one is it was released in 1997. That's all you're going to get out of it. on a cartridge-based console.
Wow, two hints.
Yep.
Shit, a cartridge-based console? The hell was 1997?
97.
The Nintendo?
You said 97.
Nintendo?
97.
1997. So that had to be like
1997.
Star Fox.
Plus 20 years ago. Yeah. Is that your guess, Star Fox?
Yeah, no, that's all I got.
Negative. That is negative.
Jet Force Gemini.
No,
Nice.
that's a fun game though. Fun game. Okay.
Nice.
Sticking with Ains on question number 2. So this game was developed by a small 4-person team. It only took them 1 year to develop.
Wow.
Mm.
Oof. Blast Core.
Son of a bitch.
You serious?
Did you really get
That's
it?
Yeah. Oh my god.
That was weak sauce. That was awesome. You got another
I've
one?
guessed 2 of these now on the second question.
That's fucking hilarious.
Were these like, is that like a random guess?
That was
or what?
a random guess, just thinking about 97 on the Nintendo 64. then when you said that, I was thinking, okay, what game was popular but that didn't have that AAA kind of budget and polish? And Blast Corps came to mind.
I don't even know what to say right now.
Winner, chicken dinner.
I will repeat, or I should say I shouldn't repeat, I didn't even get to them. I will read the rest of my hints towards you guys. So, if you were to do Metacritic today based on the 13 reviews that existed back in the day, this thing had a Metacritic score of 90, believe it or not. It had a very, very high score. The game director came out and said that, in his opinion, this is a puzzle game, which is kind of hilarious. Reviewers likened it to RC Pro-Am and the Micro Machines game that existed back in the day. The game was influenced by Donkey Kong, which is another thing because he smashes things or whatever. The game had a slide mechanic like from Mario Kart, which was kind of an interesting thing when you had your tractors. The original title was Blast Dozer. I think that would have been easy as we're getting easy. And the development team was Rare. So this was their first development game on the Nintendo 64.
That is fantastic.
So you guys can just, as Dan would say, suck it.
Suck it.
And that's our name that game, Ains. I'm not gonna. I don't even know.
You know what? I mean, I'm willing to give you a do-over next week if you want.
Willing to just not be the host on that game anymore. You're okay with that?
Oh man!
All right.
Fantastic.
Sorry for our audience. That was a quick one.
Yeah, that was kind of a waste for you guys. But if maybe you guys got it too on a random guess. But that's our name that game for this week. Hopefully the other questions gave you a little bit of history for Blast Corps because it was a pretty fun game. Mm-hmm. Never really had a sequel. Never really had anything else from it. Rare went on to do a lot of other things, as you can kind of imagine what happened with Rare after that with Nintendo, and then moving on to Microsoft. But that's name that game for this week. So in closing, as I did mention, Kingdom Hearts 3 review will probably be up later this week, and then I'll give a quick review on next Bitcast, which is next week. We are going to be taking a week off for BSG. I will be the one playing next time, so we will probably get that going. Not this coming Friday, but the Friday after that we'll have our next one. And then Ains does have Division 2 Impressions coming on the site, hopefully this week. Anything else you guys want to mention as we close out for this week?
I think we talked about potentially doing something for Apex Legends, too, for some of the people that may... be wanting to try it out soon. So we may get to working on that as well, since we're already put a bunch of time into it, and we'll continue to do so this week, I'm sure.
Yeah, so for people that are maybe like Dan, I don't want to say like Dan because I don't want to speak for him here, but if you are kind of not the biggest person into Battle Royale games, but you want to know more about it, how to play it, how does a game play differently from PUB, from Fortnite, from Blackout, we are planning on putting together something quick for you on that. So that might actually be something we get to you this week. Stay tuned for that. It'll be kind of a little special versus a Bitcast or BSG thing that we release on a schedule. So stay tuned. Dan, anything from you on there?
I'm good, guys. Have a good week. That's about all I got.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, thanks for listening this week. If regardless of where you're at on Spotify, if you're listening on YouTube, thanks for listening. We really appreciate you as an audience member. And hopefully you'll enjoy more of our content. So give us a look everywhere you can. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And have a great week, folks.